Rise and shine on Australia's Vision Christian Radio.
What a show, Phil. Good to have you back, by the way. We missed you on Friday.
Oh, thank you. I got to listen to you and Shelley on Friday, so it was very fun talking about cockatoos and all things.
You didn't call us about
Wildlife.
any animal experiences, Phil?
No, well, I was a bit busy, but it did make me think we had a budgie which earlier in the year escaped
Okay.
and is known. Well, I like to think that the budgie has gone off to live in the bush and now raising a family of little budgies because we have no other news like that is. So in my head, it's just gone bush and is living a great life.
You know where he is?
Yeah.
Or
in
she?
the bush?
No. Often they go to other people's houses because I remember when we had a budgie, other random budgies would just come and fly and land near our budgie on the
Okay.
cage. And we sometimes even managed to get them into the cage with our budgie.
cool.
Because I think they hear other budgies singing and talking
Aw.
and they're attracted to that and they feel safe around houses. So I suspect your budgie right now is living with a friend, living its best life in a
Brilliant.
cage with another budgie.
See, I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
That's not so
You can
bad.
accept that.
I'm accepting that.
And you don't need to clean the budgie cage out anymore either.
It's so much better. I was done with to be fair, and the kids know this actually because I was very vocal about it.
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan
Yep.
as a parent of having a budgie. Like it was smelly and
Yeah.
it was
They are
there's a
smelly.
lot of work, like cleaning and I wasn't a fan. So it didn't.
Did
I
you ever
wasn't
let the
massively
budgie
upset.
fly through the house?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
we
as
did.
kids, we do that
Yeah,
too. You
yeah,
close all the
totally.
doors and windows and let
Yeah.
the silly thing fly around and
And
watch
then
it.
it was terrible. Everything about that.
And it might poo on you, it might
Yeah,
not.
it did. And I'm like, what sort of a pet do we have here, folks? So when the budgie...
His dive bombing practice.
Yes, no, totally. I'm like, suddenly, because I'm cleaning as it is a big job. And then I'm like, I'm adding to the problem with this. Who lets a bird knowingly fly around you? What am I doing?
Well, obviously, we all do, Phil.
As a parent, I did. It was ours. But I wasn't as a result. The kids have said, Mum, did you leave the door open? Like, was it and I did not.
Like
I
the
wasn't
cage
home.
of the cage door, you mean?
The bird, so we had this budgie. His name was Anakin, after Anakin Skywalker, because it was during a particularly Star Warsy moment in our life.
Yeah.
But he would just wander around, and we got to the point, because we've got JJ the dog, that the bird was stupid and would walk on the ground, but the dog used to just love him. So he would put his he would lie down in front of him, and they would, but then every now and again he'd just chase the bird. So there'd be like, I don't know what he was thinking, but as a result, the bird had been out the day the Great Escape, and the door was open, and I got home from work and looked and said, and we were sitting at dinner, and I said, "Where's the bird?" Gone. But as a result, I can't be blamed. I wasn't home.
Did you X-ray the stomach of the dog?
You thought JJ might have.
I just want to keep all the options on the table
No,
here.
we never blamed
JJ
the
might
dog.
have eaten that bird.
Well, no, I'm still saying it's gone out, living its best life in the bush, perfectly fine. But anyway, that wasn't the talk topic today.
It's a valid thought, though, Phil.
What happened to the budgie? Mm-hmm. No, there you go. Pets that you wish you hadn't bought after you bought them. That's definitely what we could have chatted about.
Well, yeah, we really have sidebarred that one. But
There you
it
go. A
was
little insight.
It was a good show today. We had a former professional
Yes.
bull rider on the show. He knows all about animals.
He did, and look, Andy's volunteered me to have a go. Apparently, you can't.
No.
So we did check with him off air.
I thought
Phil
there was
just
a novice.
have a go.
I thought there was a novice section for real novices, but they're not real
For
novices.
real novices.
They're just emerging
They
bull
don't
riders.
just put anyone on a bull, apparently. So there you go. That's off the list of things for us to do. But
I think there are cowgirls that ride bulls.
I'm sure there would be.
But it's pretty hardcore, though.
It would be hardcore.
Yeah,
We're
they're pretty rough, those
We're not
bulls.
doing it anytime soon. We'll put a few things before that on the list.
You
But
wouldn't want your daughter doing it, would you?
no, look, my girls, it all came together because I went to what we call a cow cafe, which is a cafe near us. And my girls just touching a cow because they were like, "Can we pat the cow?" I mean, these are teenagers now. I was like, "Yeah, go for it." There was a bit of, scaredness of that. And the cow moved. And I was like, we really do have to countrify these girls. Anyway, we'd love you to reach out anytime, 0447 488 316. If you want to have a chat or you've got any thoughts, birds, pets, cows, we're up for it.
Yeah, all of the above. But enjoy the podcast. So if you've listened this far, you're definitely going to listen to the whole podcast. So hoping and praying you enjoy it. And we'll see you tomorrow
Bye.
on Rise and Shine.
Good morning. It's your Monday, and actually it's the 30th of June, the last day of June. You're waking up. It's Fal and Andy with you this morning.
That's right. Good morning, everyone. And don't say we didn't warn you. It's the end of the financial year.
Yes, today is the day. And look, for me, it is true because this is the day that we make sure that we've given away everything that we were going to give away this year for tax time and things like that. So, Murray, if you're listening, which I actually know you are awake right now, thanks to something else that happened this morning, this is the day you need to get onto that.
Well, that's a good point, Phil. You can get a tax-deductible gift by giving to Vision, can't you?
You can.
So this is your last day to do that. If you've got a bit of spare cash there for your business and you want to give a tax-deductible gift, go for it. Contact us today at Vision.
That is right. But look, we have so much on the show this morning. We have got a wonderful pastor, Pastor Brian. He's going to be sharing his testimony. It involves bull riding, which always gets me excited.
Well, does it, Phil? I didn't know that about you.
I am. Because it's something that I will never do. So I am impressed by someone who can say, yep, put me on that bull and knock me around. I mean, who does that?
Never say
Brian.
never. Yeah, he was a professional bull rider. He's now passed. He's got a great story.
Never say never.
He's also going to bring us a
I'm
devotional.
pretty sure I can say never to that.
And what else we got going on today?
Oh, dear. Well,
I'm
we
just
are
giggling about the bulls right now.
We're going to start a brand new book of the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to tell you as we go through the morning. We have been narrowing it down over the weekend. We think we have a contender, but I mean, you can still have your say. I guess it could still change. Give us a call with that.
Again, never say never, Phil. Yeah, it's not too late.
Well, and talking of bulls, the family and I, we went to the Cow Cafe over the weekend.
Oh, good.
It got me thinking, only our family would know. It's like a family code, what the Cow Cafe is. Do your family rename things? Mm-hmm. Do they have a secret family slang or a code that they use for things? I would love to hear that this morning.
Sort of like their own family version of Cockney, rhyming Cockney slang.
100%. The Limmer family has their own. I'm wondering if you do too. If you can, and give us a call. We'll chat about it later on in the morning. 1-800-316-316. But coming up next, there was a great escape at my house this morning. I almost wasn't here.
Oh.
But thanks to Murray, I am. But I'll tell you about it next on Rise and Shine.
Love the Rise and Shine podcast? Tell a friend today.
That is for King Country featuring Michael W. Smith, Place in This
What
World.
a great combo, though. Michael W. Smith and King and Country
Well,
together.
it takes me back when you hear the Michael W. Smith, because I remember the 90s, like having all of his, well, it would have been a CD back in those days.
It would have been a CD in the early 90s,
Yeah,
yes.
and playing along, or cassette, who knows? Was it cassettes? I'm not sure.
I think
anyway.
cassettes were 80s.
Were they?
I think CDs came along in the very early 90s.
You had the Discman thing?
Yes.
And how cool is that? But look, that is, you're on Rise and Shine. Fel and Andy with you this morning. You're waking up with Vision. But look, I had to tell you, Andy, I almost wasn't here this morning.
Yeah, what
There
happened,
was a
Phil?
bit of a great escape at my place. Well, I normally...
What a great escape.
Oh, wow!
Tell me about this escape,
Oh,
Phil.
dear. Well, okay. So I woke up and there was a lot of rain at my place overnight. Like, it kept me awake, to be honest. So I finally fell asleep and I woke up to my alarm, which is unusual for me.
Okay.
So I was a bit shaken as it is. As it is, you're kind of a bit kerfuffled then.
So normally you just kind of wake up naturally.
Naturally wake up, looking refreshed and gorgeous, of course. But no, I went off into the bathroom. The first clue that something was wrong was that none of my hair straighteners would work. None of them. And I thought, the lights are on.
How many hair straighteners have you got?
Well, honestly, there's a couple, plus a few other implements. In our house, we probably have, thanks to the girls and me, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Anyway, this is a sidebar now. Have you heard about those Dyson hair straighteners slash hair dryer things? Like, they're next
amazing.
level, aren't
they? Are next level. Well, I'm not quite
My
at
daughter
that
was trying
level.
to sell one to me the other day. Not for me to buy it off her, but
No.
to buy it for her. And I'm
They're
just like,
expensive.
it's more expensive than a vacuum cleaner.
It is more expensive. Anyway,
Sorry, let's get back on track
But
here.
it is a big deal, these implements. It wasn't working. Your girls would understand.
Mm-hmm.
It put me out. So I have one in my bag so I can straighten my hair later in the day.
Hair straightener.
Yeah, in my bag, ready to go for the day. What else have you got in your bag?
Oh, wow.
I go to the kitchen. My biggest concern is that the coffee machine's not working. Mm-hmm. Good
Another
news.
tragedy.
It's working. I thought, okay, the day is back on track.
Okay.
I've got the coffee. I'm a bit late now because
Is the
I'm in
hair
a
cray-cray though?
kerfuffle.
Had you straightened the hair, or is
No,
the
I
hair
haven't.
still cray-cray?
No, I haven't straightened the hair.
So cray-cray hair and coffee, you can still be happy with just the
I'm
coffee?
fine with that. I'm
Okay.
big of people. No one can see me. I'm on radio. So I've got the coffee, though. That is very important. The coffee is made. I'm a bit late. So I quickly kissed the girls goodbye. And then a week or so ago, you will remember, when I wear my boots, I tipped coffee
You did.
all over the garage floor.
Spilled coffee on the
So
boots.
I was very aware. I put on the boots. I got all ready and I thought I'm going to get to the car without spilling the coffee. Managed to do it. Not a problem. But it was pitch black in the garage. By this point, I'm congratulating myself. I am so excited. I am like, Fel, you are a legend. You've overcome the odds. And here you are.
Yeah.
And then
You're a trooper.
I'm a trooper. I press the button and nothing happens. Like the garage door. Nothing's going up.
You're stuck.
I'm like, what is... I look around. I'll try again. I go to the kitchen and get the second bopper.
Yep.
Nah.
The bopper, meaning the garage
The
opener.
garage door open.
Yep.
Still not opening.
Yep.
At this point, I think, the electric things that I needed for the hair straightener must be connected to the electric things that
There you
needed
go.
for this door operator. With cars inside the garage, I'm stuck.
You're trapped.
I'm thinking Andy is going to do the show by him. That's it, I'm out.
So
And then-
it was like being in a German gulag in World War II. You're a prisoner.
And then I think, but wait, I have a husband. So I go, my husband is sound asleep with the dog, and he's like, what's
Can I
going on?
just stop there? Do you mean to tell me it comes in handy having a husband sometimes? Phil?
Definitely. Look, I knew that somewhere in the back of my mind there's a button I can pull or something and that like automatically opens, that I can manually override.
Yeah.
But I thought I don't need to do that. I've got a husband. So I go and I find poor Murray and I say, he's like, what's going on? Because he's not great in the morning, poor thing. And I need your help, babe. I need your help. The garage door, the power's gone. What? Yep. Okay. It'll be the power board. He goes straight to it.
Yep.
Bless his beautiful heart.
Yep.
He finds his shoes. The dog's up. The lights are on. He's out there. He finds the fault, switches on and off a couple of things,
Yep.
and suddenly the garage door, it rises. And here I am.
And here, so question, did he find the time or have the mental alertness to give you a quick training session in how to use the power board in future?
Oh, no. I had no interest in that. That's why I have a husband.
Just the kill switch, it wouldn't be that hard. Phil.
I suppose.
Could be
but
a good skill
you
to have.
know
You
what?
never know.
At whatever time it was, 4:45 in the morning, I'm happy to delegate that to someone else. I'm hoping he went back to sleep, but babe, you're a legend. You saved the day, and here I am.
So that was Phil's great escape.
But the coffee was intact in the car,
Yeah.
sipping on the way to work. We were all good.
And what about the cray hair?
Cray hair, I've got the hair straightener, so in one of the breaks I'll go and
you'll
get that
duck out and
sorted.
straighten it out.
I'll get that sorted for
Well,
you.
there you go, Phil. Good story, Phil. And I'm glad you made it too.
Thanks for streaming the Rise and Shine Daily podcast.
Please subscribe to the show
Rate it on your favourite podcast platform.
and share the link on your socials.
It all helps get the word out.
Phil, you brought up that your family has its own code, its own language that no one else would understand. What triggered this on the weekend?
Well, look, good question. On the weekend, we on Sunday decided to go on a bit of a Sunday drive.
Which is nice.
I thought that was nice. Winter, we went up into the mountains, into the
Oh,
hills.
nice. Which mountains?
Well, near us, there's Springbrook is this area not far from our place. So we
Okay.
went up and you kind of go, can I just put it out there? I really don't like country roads that are windy. I find them really hard. So
Really?
poor Murray, he's got to be on his best driving behaviour.
There's a song about that, isn't there? Country Road.
Take me home.
There
Well,
you
this
go.
is taking us away from home. But we went to the Cow Cafe,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it made me think that no one else.
Was this the sort of sounds you're hearing at the Car Cafe?
Yeah, that's right. Now, the Cow Cafe is actually the Flying Bean Cafe. That's the name of the cafe.
Okay.
It overlooks the valleys, and there was people gliding off the top. So, when they run
nice.
off the
Yeah,
edge of the
yeah.
cliff and they glide.
Hang gliders, yeah.
Another thing I would never do, like that and bull
Well,
riding.
no, let's say something you haven't done up until now,
Well,
Phil. It's
no,
never
I'm
too
pretty
late,
sure.
Phil.
No, look,
What if the Lord spoke to you and said, Phil, I
Oh.
want you to hang glide?
I want you to jump off a cliff.
Or
I don't know
ride
if
a
that
bull.
really God.
What about riding a bull?
I don't think God's going to say that. I'm
Well,
pretty
what
sure.
if he did, though, Phil? Let's just imagine for a moment he did. There could be a purpose
Is
in it.
there am I seeing God in this moment, or is this like an inner voice? 'Cause
You
then
might
I'd
reach
have
all
to
the
be careful.
cowgirls afterwards. They'll
I
be like,
don't
Phil,
know.
respect. You did 8 seconds on the bull today. What's your secret, Phil? How do you do it?
I'd be like pure fear. No, look, I'm not there. But with this cafe, you could jump off the cliff, so I could come if you want to do it. I know where to go.
Okay.
I could take you up there.
Thank
I
you,
say,
Phil.
Andy,
You'll
jump
help
off
me
a
jump
cliff.
off a cliff.
I would do
Did we all hear that, everyone? Thank you. Write it down. Phil's encouraging
No,
me to
they're
jump
all,
off a cliff.
the voice of Fel is, But we got up there and we call it that because once we were up there and there was this massive cow, like the biggest cow you've ever seen.
Wow.
It was quite large. Well, we called it fat. I think that's okay when
was
you're
a
talking.
large cow.
It was a large cow. And so we've called it the Fat Cow Cafe ever since.
Okay.
That's what it's known for as a family.
Okay.
But it's our family speak. And
Yeah.
it got us thinking about all of these different terms. Like we've got the cat park, the boat park, the giant baby shops. They're all terms that our family have kind of used for landmarks.
Yeah.
But also just like a bosh bosh. That's another. People don't.
What's a bosh bosh?
Oh, that's a Josh.
Okay.
But I thought no one else in the world would dare call Josh that.
Bosh bosh.
Sorry, Josh. But I've wondered, is there family speak that your family terms that you've used over the years? Like, did you have some maybe when the kids were little, Andy?
Look, I remember from the Breaking Wind days, Phil,
there's
that
a lot of
was
that.
called a hop off, a
hop-off.
hoppy, and then it became a hoppy.
That's a bit cute.
And my eldest daughter then started calling it a toot, a little toot.
Oh, cutie.
And because the ongoing joke is my grandma always said she never did hop offs. She never did toots.
She never did a toot. I bet she did.
Whereas my daughters have never tried to go down that lane. They've always admitted that when they've done one. So, yeah, pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. Oh, look, the caller's out there. Can you help us? Collect a list of family terms.
Rise and shine on Vision Christian Radio.
And I believe there is a brand new sound.
There is a brand new sound, Phil, and this is a brand new day. It's a brand new week. It's the end of the financial year. So, you know what we're going to do, Phil?
You're going to fly.
We need to go back there, Phil.
Oh, I'm concerned.
Because you missed the flight last week.
I probably could ride on a bull after I've flown in this machine with you.
I can see you riding a bull, Phil. I
Nerves
think you'd
and
nail
feel.
it.
You reckon?
Yeah,
Or
you
maybe.
tame that bull. You
Well,
would
ask
tame it.
Pastor Brian
Yes.
when we chat to him.
He'll give you
He's a
some
bull
tips.
rider.
He'll give you some
Or he
tips.
could just say, do you think you could just, as a newbie, jump on a bull?
They actually do have a thing where randoms, novices can get on the bulls at rodeos. And if you're just joining us, we're speaking to a former professional bull rider later in the show. That's who Phil's referring to. His name's Brian. And so, yeah, Phil, if you go to a rodeo, there actually is a novice section for people like you and me to jump on the back of that bull and have a crack.
I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, everyone. We're going back in time right now.
Oh, yeah, we're back in time.
And that was our time machine. It was taking us back into a Bible story.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy's a bit of a scary driver, so that's why we were talking about bull riding.
But I can promise you, we have landed somewhere in the world, back in time, where a Bible event took place. And let's have a listen to it now, Phil. Are you ready?
Yes. Wow. That's dramatic.
It's very dramatic and it's very biblical.
Very easy. Let's have a listen again. So it's a brand new story. This is day 2. Did you have many calls on Friday, Andy, with any guesses in them?
We actually did have a little bit of a response to that one, Phil.
Because it's very good if day 1 of a sound.
Let's have a listen to some of the answers that came through.
Okay.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say they're closing the fiery furnace on Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego.
Is it Peter or John that walks out when it's stormy and it's stormy in the seas and Jesus says, "Come to me"?
They are very good guesses.
As always, Phil, unfortunately, the only sound those contestants heard was that one. But they were great
There's always
answers.
such disappointment from the people at the end of that, that they really felt that they should have got them right. But the question is, if you know the sound, this is the time to give us a call,
One will play the sound, Phil.
please.
I like that.
I do love it.
Yeah, you could listen to that all day.
Well, it's a bit stressful.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me Vision's breakfast show is now available around the clock?
And on demand,
Incredible!
the Rise and Shine podcast. Rise and Shine.
Adam, you're on the line. What are you thinking?
Is it when Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead?
Oh, there would have been quite the noise with that. And they had to open the tomb.
Yeah.
And Lazarus comes out. Come forth. Brilliant story.
Good answer.
Is it the
Very
right
biblical.
one,
It's a
Andy?
very biblical answer. I'm going to give you that, Adam.
Yes.
It's straight from the Word of God.
Oh, sorry, Adam. Great guess, though.
That's all right.
Trish, have you got a guess for us?
I do, Phil.
Woohoo.
How are you this morning?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Great, thanks. I'm wondering if it's Pentecost
Pentecost.
and the tongues of fire
Yes.
coming like a rushing mighty
Rushing
wind.
mighty wind.
It's a good sound for that, isn't it?
I feel like I could
It is
just
a
do
good
this.
sound for that.
That is a very good sound. And a great story. New Testament. We've been in the book of Acts. Trish knows. Is it right, though, Andy? Surely.
Not this time, but it could be right.
It could be right.
That sound would fit that.
All right, next time. Have
Next
a good
time.
day.
Thanks, Trish. You too. Bye. Very good. These guesses.
The game lives, Phil. And this particular sound lives on for at least another day.
Oh, there you go. It'll be back same time tomorrow. As Andy says, the greatest Christian game show.
I think so.
He's put it
in
out
Australia
there.
anyway.
I mean, if you've got a better one, let us know. We'll switch to that. But
Look,
for now, we're
there
going
might
to
be
call
one in
it that.
Finland or something like that. You never know. But in Australia, I'm pretty confident, Phil, this is the greatest Christian game show
dear. Well,
in the nation.
The Rise and Shine podcast.
Talking about sayings that only our families have, little words or phrases that no one else understands, which is, by the way, where the Cockney rhyming slang came from as well. It's
Yes,
just,
right.
It was actually because the Cockneys were often, let's just say outside of the law, so they developed their own little language so the police couldn't understand them in London. That's where the rhyming slang came
Oh.
from. So they would speak in a way that hopefully the police wouldn't understand. That's where it originates
Well, that's a good idea, actually, because our family, then we could use that because we have the giant baby shops, which no one else would know. So it could be a code. If I said to the kids, meet you at the giant baby shops, they would know exactly what I was meaning. So maybe we could use that. It's the shops that are near our place with this huge baby in the window. Like it was a poster.
Oh, yeah.
But the baby, when the kids were little, was like 6 times this huge head of a baby.
Yeah.
So we called it the giant baby shops.
Yeah.
We were there the other day and finally they've taken that poster down after how old is Bella? 18 years.
Did the giant baby scare them when they were little?
Oh, yeah. We always used to measure ourselves against the giant baby. So the fact that they've taken it down, it's kind of a bit of our family history gone.
Well, speaking of scaring babies, you just reminded me, when my daughter was quite young, about 2, we had an Easter Bunny outfit for our church.
Oh,
because the
yes.
Easter Bunny would come and give the eggs out to the
that's
kiddies.
cute.
And I decided to try it on one day and just see how it
Just
went
at
because
home.
we'd hide it. So I was at home. I remember putting the Easter Bunny suit on
know.
and going down the stairs, and little Bella's just looking at me. And to her credit, she kept her composure.
Did she?
started walking backwards. She was just terrified of this giant bunny coming down the stairs.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she maintained her composure.
Bless
she
her.
stepped backward several steps. As I came down, before I took the thing, I said, "Hey, it's me, Belle, it's okay."
Wow. How old was she?
Oh, under 2.
Under 2.
She was old enough
So
to
suddenly
walk.
she's got a picture of her dad, like a body of a rabbit and then a head of a dad.
It was a giant rabbit.
I wonder what a 2-year-old would see. Like, what are they thinking?
A
What's
giant
the
rabbit
process?
attack. Yeah. Vivid imagination.
Oh,
Little
no.
kids, they imagine things and they believe things as well.
That's so funny. Oh, well, look, we have put it out there, 1800 316 316. We'd love to hear from you. And look, it's not actually something that's just unique to us. The Australian National Dictionary has done a bit of a search, actually, to try and find these special words that are invented by families around Australia. Julia Robinson is a researcher at the centre, and she's got a couple of examples for us.
Oh, look, one of my favourites was chizza, Cheatza, chizza. Now, that's a pizza with the ready-made bases and toppings. One of the other things we got scrungly bits. Now, scrungly bits are the bits that are left on the barbecue. Everybody wants the scrungly bits.
Oh, dear.
I guess those tasty little slightly burnt bits.
Ooh, the scrungly bits. I don't know. Are you a fan of the scrungly bits on the Barbie film?
I don't think so. Look, that was brought to us by the ABC, courtesy of the ABC, that audio. But how funny. I actually do love the burnt bits. You know, when you're making something on the electric fry pan, the scrungly bits,
The
as I
scrunglies.
now will call them.
Yep.
I do love them.
But you like a bit of crunch, do you?
I do love a
What
bit
about
of
off the
crunch.
Barbie, though? Because Barbie.
Oh, no, the Barbie, I'd be
dirty,
worried what
so-
else is on there. No, definitely not the Barbie. But look, we're after your suggestions this morning. Have you got some family words that you could add to our family speak? Maybe here at Rise and Shine we could develop our own.
We're caffeinated and ready to face the day. This is Rise and Shine on Vision.
I want to do a shout out to Chinchilla in Queensland, where you're listening along on 87.6 FM. And if you're waking up in Chinchilla this morning, your weather is looking a little bit rainy right at the moment. It's going to be a little bit of a nippy sort of a day in Chinchilla. Maximum of 20 though, so it's not so bad.
That's nice.
But, yeah, it is. And look, at 16 at the moment. So there'd be some parts of Australia where that would be like a heat wave in the middle of winter. But for Chinchilla, I hope you're having a lovely day. And we're going to find out actually more than just the weather, because we're chatting to Pastor Brian not long from now, who's an ex-bull rider, now a pastor, about his testimony.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that. He's also going to bring a devotional for us as well. He's part of a great church in Chinchilla, which I want to hear a little bit about as well during his devotional, because it's always encouraging when you hear about country churches
Yes.
doing well, where people are coming and being touched, like our bell ring friend up in
Pastor
Rosedale, is
Well
it, Phil?
done.
Did I get
Very
it right?
nice. Yes.
Not Rosebud.
Not Rosebud. You got it right. Well done, Andy.
Well, Psalm of 1, verse 1. How good is it, Phil? Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. That's actually Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 and 2.
Are you going to continue on in the next hour, the next bit of that?
You want me to?
Because it's pretty good.
The first
What
Psalm
happens
is
to that
a
man?
good one.
What happens to that man?
Well, we have to wait to find out, aren't we, Phil? We're going to build the suspense here. Wait another hour.
Well, there's good news coming. If you can wait an hour, otherwise jump into your Bible. It has something to do with prospering. I'll give you that much.
Whoa, a little clue from Phil
There you
there.
go.
It's the daily podcast of your favourite Aussie breakfast show,
Rise and Shine. Rise and Shine.
Country Hope Church, which is a thriving church in Chinchilla with 4 locations. But he is a former professional bull rider, and I thought it'd be nice to hear his story about how a professional bull rider on the rodeo circuit actually meets Jesus. Brian, welcome to Rise and Shine.
Yeah, good morning.
We're pretty excited, Brian, because being a bull rider, like, it's a pretty cool profession. If I'm going to put it out there, there's some jobs which are like, you know, oh, whatever. But that's a cool job. How did you end up riding bulls?
When you're young, young men, they, have too much testosterone and they'll do something dangerous. They ride fast bikes or fast cars, play football, whatever. I just rode broncs and bulls.
Oh, there you go. And so tell us that intersection with Christ, were you always saved, or was that like as a young kid, or did it happen while you were riding the bulls? I'm imagining you seeing death before your eyes and eternity comes into focus.
Definitely wasn't a Christian. I actually did go to church when I was young, but the message never got through. And it took a while till I got it,
So you're on the circuit. What was your favourite, mate? Were you preferring to ride the bulls or the broncs? Broncs obviously being those wild horses. What was your fave?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was riding several events, and then when I went to America, when I was 19, and I decided I would just pick my best event and just concentrate on that. So I concentrated on riding bulls, and that's why I did that.
And how did you end up meeting Jesus, mate? What was the sort of the events leading up to that?
Well, in the late 70s and through the 80s, there was a big move of God amongst all the Western world and the equine world and the rodeo people and the racing industry, the whole deal. And I was noticing these Christian cowboys at the rodeos, and they were just really out there with their faith, which is a good lesson. If you're a Christian, get out there and let people know you're a Christian because people are watching. Mm. So I was watching these guys, and I'm thinking, these guys are really different, and I had these thoughts. I thought, I believe in God and they believe in God, but they're different, they've got something I haven't got. I missed something somewhere, so I started to go along to Cowboy Church was at the rodeo, so I just sit up the back and check it out, like an Aussie sort of half stuff. And do you want to hear how I actually got saved?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So one night we were doing an overnight run from California to Idaho, and in the middle of the night I'm with these 3 other guys, and God, it was a setup, obviously. These 3 other guys in the car were Christians, and I wasn't. And one of them started praying in tongues, and I'd never heard that stuff, and I said, mate, what are you doing? And he said, praying in tongues. I said, what's that? He said, it's a spiritual gift. It's in the Bible, mate. You didn't say mate because he was an American. He said, you don't need to know about that. You need to know about being born again. I said, what's that? I was just displaying my ignorance. And so he just explained the gospel to me. He said, you've got to you can't just have some general belief in God. Anyone could do that. You've got to make a definite decision to follow Jesus. And these words came out of my mouth. I said, that's what I want. And I said, we'll fix this right now. So we pulled over middle of the night out near Elko, Nevada, pulled over. I prayed a prayer and asked Jesus to save me. And, mate, I tell you, I've never been the same again. It wasn't lightning or anything, but I just knew that my life had just turned around, shifted, changed, never looked back.
Isn't that amazing, hey? The good old Christian cowboys in America have reached out to you, led you to the Lord on the side of a road in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, just because you were sitting in the car with him while he decides to pray.
How many years ago was that, Brian?
1980.
Wow. So a long, long time ago. And now you're pastoring, and how cool to think that those cowboys who were bold with their faith would have such an impact then across the world, because they were willing to say and to be bold with what they believed.
Correct, yeah. And, it's quite amazing, what God does and how God uses you. That started the revival. We came back to Australia and started a ministry on the rodeo circuit here called the Christian Cowboy Fellowship. And so we started having cowboy church at all the rodeos. We didn't know what to do. We just found a couple of other young fellows that had just got saved in Melbourne, and we started Cowboy Church, and it was just initially there was 3 or 4 of us, I think, and we just said, what we'll do? We'll just put up posters. We'll say Cowboy Church is on. If nobody comes, we'll just pray for the guys and take turns preaching at each other. And it just grew, went mad. And then by by 85, half of all the national titles were won by Christians.
Wow.
And it just took off, and there's so many amazing stories. One story I'll tell you, we've given away like thousands of these cowboy Bibles, just New Testaments and things. One guy took one and eventually got saved. Long story, but this one particular guy has led north of probably 20,000 people to Christ.
Man.
He's a radical guy, goes to India and goes to all these places and just prays for the sick and sees a lot of miracles and just leads multitudes of people to the Lord. He just what goes to Mongolia, West Irian, all these really out there places.
And that's just one of the guys that got saved in that cowboy revival.
How good is that?
You know what, Brian?
Yeah.
I want us to take a break right now. I want to come back and really hear your heart. Maybe you got a devotional for us or a word of encouragement. That story is just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
You found the podcast of Vision's breakfast show, Rise and Shine.
Rise and shine.
Pastor Brian, have you got a word of encouragement for us this morning?
Yeah, certainly do, Andy. Yeah, well, you like me to go with it?
Let's
Yeah,
do
we
it, mate.
love it.
Let's fire.
All righty. So here's a question people ask. What makes the Christian message different than any other message? And so there's several answers to that. And one, obviously, is the resurrection of Jesus. That sets us apart. The other is the concept of grace. And when people think about, when you talk to people about grace, a lot of people just think it's some lightweight deal, like obviously say grace before a meal. Even a lot of Christians don't know, they think, give people a bit of space, a bit of room, overlook their faults, overlook their sins, but God doesn't overlook our sins. He sent Jesus to pay for them and take the judgment for them. So that's obviously not what it's about. So years ago, I heard an interview with Bono from U2, and he's talking away, and they asked him about his faith, and he said these words. He said, in every religion, every philosophy, you have to earn your way. You have to earn your way to heaven, to nirvana, enlightenment, whatever you're going after. And if you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad, so reincarnation, all that stuff. And basically, you get what you deserve. But then Jesus comes along and says, I want to give you what you don't deserve. And that's grace.
Yeah.
That's such a radical idea that grace is God giving us what we don't deserve.
Oh, it's so
It is
true.
good.
What a great way of putting it. Because you're right, I'm just thinking about things like karma and most religions. It's like you said, it's what you can earn. It's what you can
Yeah.
do. And like you said, as Christians, we get what we don't deserve.
That's
That's
so good.
awesome.
Correct. And what we could never earn. So, there's no way of attaining, salvation, enlightenment, whatever, by ourselves. We're just not smart enough, anything enough to get there. And another way of putting that is God gives us what we need, not what we deserve.
Mm.
And so we need forgiveness. We need cleansing. We need life beyond the grave. We need that, but we don't deserve that.
Yeah.
And the other side of grace is that God does not give us what we do deserve, and that's mercy.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. So grace is God giving us what we don't deserve. Mercy is God not giving us what we do deserve.
Yeah, right.
Kind of the other side of it.
Yeah.
So this is unique to Christianity. There's no concept like that anywhere else. I was at Byron Bay Shire for about 15 years, and I've heard all the other alternative philosophies. There's nothing like this out there anywhere.
So true. And grace is one of those words, Brian, it's not really used in our modern English. And
No, true.
That's why I really like hearing people's perspective on it like yours, because everyone's got their own take on it, and it's all true. Because it's such a deep word. Basically, Christianity is grace, isn't it? Without grace, there is no
God's
Christianity.
ability on our behalf.
Absolutely.
And even old mate who wrote the song all those years ago, he just wrote a simple song, Amazing Grace, but it's just touched the world.
Yeah.
Because that was his revelation of grace.
Correct, yeah.
Oh,
So, obviously there's lots of other things. Grace is God's ability. It's empowerment. It's enablement. It's, it's all that stuff. It's God's favour. God actually loves us and looks on us with favour. I want to save you. I want to bless you. That's a reflection on the character of God. God is not some mean, angry, vindictive, cruel God. He actually loves his creation, So, and I love the empowerment thing. Grace is God's ability. I put that in every verse. Like Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith. For by God's ability you have been saved through faith. This is not your own doing, it's the gift of God, and not a result of work, so that no one can boast. That's Ephesians 2:8 and 9 there.
Come on, mate. So good. So good.
God's favour, God's ability, God giving us what we don't deserve.
so good.
Yeah.
So we got saved.
So good, Brian. Well, this is Pastor Brian Bernays from the Country Hope Church in Chinchilla. Now, you've got other campuses, Brian. Where are the other campuses in case people want to try and find you guys?
So we have a campus at Meandara, which is south of Chinchilla.
Yep.
One over at Jendara, which is one my wife and I look after.
Yep.
And one at Gayndah. We are
Gayndah.
in Gayndah as well.
And obviously one in Chinchilla. Well, Pastor Brian Bernays from the Country Hope Church, we want to thank you so much for joining us today on Rise and Shine, sharing a little bit of your story about how you met Jesus and then just a great message there on the grace of God. Always good to have our country brothers as well. Thanks again, mate, and we look forward to chatting to you.
God bless you. Great job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Always encouraging and always fun. Rise and Shine on
Our
Vision.
Bible study, we're shifting it up a bit.
Well, we had an online poll, didn't we, Phil?
We did. We finished the book of Acts, and now we're heading into a new book, and we're also going to put it in a new spot in the show, just to change things up a bit.
Mix it up.
Change is as good as a holiday.
That's it.
Is it? I
is
don't know.
a-
You tell us.
It is a holiday, and we put an online poll out there on Facebook, didn't we? We asked you, the listener, we said, what book of the Bible would you like us to study?
It is. So we'll tell you, we'll reveal the book, and we'll jump into the study about half an hour from now, just after the next news. But today, we have been chatting about those terms that your family come up with, some family terms, because in my family over the weekend, we went to the Cow Cafe, and it occurred to me that no one else in Australia would call it the Cow Cafe. We call it that because there happened to be an extremely large cow that we once saw at the cafe.
Was the cow making that sound, Phil?
Yes. They are quite noisy, actually. And as a result, that's now known, our family and a couple of family friends who we've taken them, they would know, oh, that's the Limmer's Cow Cafe.
Yep.
But no one else knows that's
Yep.
the name of the cafe.
Yep. Sort of a little code you've
A
got
code
going
of family. Do you have a family, one in your family with the girls when they were little?
For breaking wind,
Yes.
correct?
What did you call it?
It was a pop-off,
I think that's very cute.
which then became a hop-off or a hoppy or a poppy. It evolved.
Oh, it sounds a bit like a grandparent then.
Ended up being a toot. My eldest daughter then started calling it a toot.
Well, we would. That is really cute. And some of them stick, they go through the generations. But we'd love to hear from you, 1-800-316-316, if you have one. And I can see I've got Jenny here on the line. Jenny, have your family invented a word for us?
I have, and it's called Daddy's Bump.
Daddy's, okay, we've got to guess what this means. So in your house, there's a daddy's bump. Is it a tummy?
Daddy's bump.
Wasn't in the house, it was on the road.
On the road. So
Yes.
like a road bump was called a daddy's bump?
Absolutely.
Why? How come?
Well, I think Daddy must have gone over it a little bit fast one day, and they all bumped their heads, all the children in the back bumped their heads on the ceiling. So it was called Daddy's Bump from then on. And then as the children grew and Mummy was driving, Mummy had to do the Daddy's Bump.
Oh, you had to do it. So that was the goal, was to hit their heads on the roof.
Yeah, or they had to at least leave their seats. No seat belts. This is going back a long way. Back in the day when there were no seats for children, not even a bassinet.
Yeah,
a bassinet for a child was just put in the back seat of the car.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was a place that nobody would ever know because it was called Nowhere Else.
There you go.
What, the place was called Nowhere Else?
It still is.
Really? That's a pretty cool.
Called
Where do you live?
Nowhere
Nowhere
Else.
else. No one would believe you. Where is Nowhere Else, Jenny?
It's in northwest Tasmania.
Really?
Near Sheffield.
Near Sheffield. There you go.
So Daddy's bump sounds more like Daddy's jump. It sounds like
It
a
sounds
jump
like fun
than
to
a
me.
bump.
I reckon a few
because
Andy's kids would have had that happen in their house many times.
Well,
They had
it's
to bump their heads on the
on the cast. I remember those days too. When I was a kid too, there were no seatbelts. Well, they were, but you didn't have to wear them. And I remember
the 80s, man.
a few of us would sit in the back, and we had vinyl seats. And as if my mum was driving, she went around the corner. You'd try and sit on that
Yes.
armresty thing. You weren't allowed to hold on to it and not have to roll off as we went around the corners, and we'd take it in turns. That was our game.
Wow.
On the back seat of the car. And like you said, in those days, I mean, I'm not saying it was good either, because there were more accidents that, where people got injured, but you could squeeze 4 or 5 kids into a back seat in those days. No one cared, did they? Jenny, no one cared. It's like, oh, yeah, you got a few kids in the back seat, no worries.
Exactly, but they grew up. Fortunately, they grew up, and Daddy's Bump didn't mean much anymore, but they still remember it.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very cute.
It's the last thing you want as an adult, isn't it? Hit the roof of the car.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge for me. I didn't particularly want to go over the bump, and the road has been changed since, so we can't do it anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't particularly want them to bump their heads on the roof. But,
No.
yeah,
Did you do it though, Jenny? Like under peer pressure?
Oh, yes.
Jenny's like, yeah, but if you push me, I'll do it. That's okay.
So
I'm the
funny.
fun mum. Oh, Jenny, brilliant. Daddy's bump. We're writing it down. It's on the list.
Well, here's a male question. Do you remember what sort of car your dad drove? What was he driving?
Oh, my dad or my husband at that time.
Yes.
Well, both. Start with Dad. What sort of car did Dad have?
Dad had a Zephyr 6.
Okay.
And we would have been driving, I can't remember, probably a four-wheel drive of some kind.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then it would have really bumped.
I was just wondering if you were going to say an FJ Holden. That's the classic Aussie car, the FJ Holden.
Right. Oh, dear.
No, Dad was a Zephyr man.
He's a Zephyr man.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much for giving us a buzz. I love Daddy's bump. Very cool.
Nowhere else.
Don't do this at home. Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
What a cool name for a place. Nowhere else. I'm Googling it. It is at Tasmania. It looks beautiful. Many cows in Nowhere Else. Who came up with that name? I wonder.
It's got to be one of the coolest place names I've ever heard. Nowhere else.
It's almost like a joke name. Where are you from? Nowhere else.
Nowhere else,
No,
yeah.
seriously. Nowhere else. What? Very nice. But look, we are after your help this morning. Have you got some family terms? Like in our family, we use the word daddy cake. So if I say daddy cake, the kids would know it's this coconut cake that we make. Listen to
Obviously,
Andy.
Murray likes it, obviously.
He
I
does,
like
yeah.
the sound of it
Well,
already.
it is because it was the simplest cake I could make, and we'd make it for Daddy. So when the kids, it has 4 ingredients, a cup of each. You just throw them in and you put them in the oven.
How good's that?
A kid can make it by themselves from the age of like
For a rookie like me, what now?
sugar,
Sugar?
not a full cup of sugar, and milk.
That's it.
If you make it, makes a cake.
Whip it together?
Whip it. Well, yeah, yep. Or if kids, it's half in the bowl, half out of the bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, pop it in a pan, pop it in, and I don't use timers.
Yeah.
But I want to say 25 minutes.
When you smell that it's
When you
starting
smell
to
that it's
cooked.
cooked, it's
I
done.
like that, Phil. That's so simple.
Daddy
You just
cake.
taught me how to make a cake. I've
Oh.
never made a cake.
Well, haven't you?
Oh, when I was a kid, I helped my mum, but I haven't made one in the last 30
Well,
years, let's say that.
Maybe we'll do some baking lessons with Andy.
Why not?
If you've got some easy cakes, he should try to feed, and you can feed them to me. I'm happy to be fed. Anyway, we'd love to hear from you this morning. Either an easy recipe for Andy,
Love the Rise and Shine podcast?
Tell a friend today.
and we're having a bit of fun chatting about those words your family has made up.
I did enjoy the Daddy's Bump story.
Did
that
you
was a
like
good
that?
one.
I had a
Yeah.
different visual in my head.
You mentioned the belly. You were seeing Buddha, weren't you? You were seeing, the Buddha.
I was seeing a bit of a tumpy on Dad, and now
Pat the
everything.
tummy for good luck.
Daddy's bump is there. We have a Daddy's cake. So that's a cake that only our family would know, but it's this coconut-based cake that the kids would make Murray when they were little. He was littler then too, I suppose.
Well, you won't be little if you keep feeding him the Daddy's cake, though, will you?
That's true. It got to the point that I would just leave her and she would just have a go, just throwing random ingredients in a bowl.
Legend.
But I was always amazed it was edible. Like at the end, I would give a quick taste test just to make sure I thought it might rise.
Yep.
And it was always good,
Yep.
actually, to be
Yep.
fair. A couple of times she decided to make it when we were going to a friend's house. So I made a backup cake
Yep.
and didn't tell her. Just in case. Sorry, Millie.
Did you ever do the switcheroo where you had to actually switch out her one and put your one in?
Well, thankfully, it always worked. I thought at the time, what a gift this child must have, that she can literally, but I would just put out things that were edible on the bench and say, have a crack. And she would.
Yep.
And it turned out. So it can't be too hard baking.
Phil, I'm thinking you didn't say have a crack though, did you?
Well, have a go. Have a go, my
You
darling.
only learned to have a crack last
I
week.
did, that's true. It was Andy who's now dumbed down my language use.
Not dumbed down. Aussified it. What are you saying about my great nation,
sorry.
Phil? That went.
But we have put it out there. Oh, no offence made. But we are put it out there. Have you made up some family terms in your own family? Maybe a daddy cake, a daddy bump, something like that. And I can see we've got Natalie on the line. Natalie, do you have some family slang?
Well, it's not slang, but it's a little bit different, I guess. So we immigrated from France when I was 10, and we all learnt English.
Bonjour, Nathalie.
Mesdames et messieurs.
Ça va?
Ça va bien?
Oh, very
Oh,
nice.
très bien. And anyway, and so we all learnt English here. There was my older sister, myself, and my little sister who was 3, and I was 10. And funnily enough, and I never quite knew why, some English words just crept into our French. So we'd be speaking French as a family, but English words would come in that then we would blend into these sentences. So, for example, the word lunch and the word rubbish, I don't know why, but they just became, even though we were speaking French, we would throw them in English. And then when we went back to visit family a couple of years on in France, we hadn't, I don't know, maybe we weren't even aware, but here we were talking and these French relatives would be looking at us and saying, what are you saying? What are you talking about?
You were speaking Franglish.
Yeah, we were. And then my little sister, because she was so little, she got the languages mixed up. So she'd often use like English verbs with French verb endings or, you know, things like that. And and we were speaking a kind of a different language that nobody else spoke, I guess.
It's like pidgin French.
At least you all understood each other. Like that was the main thing. Oh, very cute. I think that's probably where lots of family things come from is those they shared experiences, isn't it? Like you guys have moved from a different country and then had to delve into. It's hard learning a new language when you've moved overseas.
Must have been
I'm
hard
sure,
going
as a
from the
kid.
language of love to Aussie slang too. Bit of a change there, hey Phil?
That's when your family would come up with some new terms. We'd love to hear from you. There must be a lot more out there. If you've got some, like for example, we did hear from the Australian National Dictionary researcher Julia Robinson about scrungly bits, the bits that are on the bottom of the barbecue that some people love to eat. I love eating them when they're on an electric fry pan.
Not the Barbie.
But not the Barbie.
You just don't know what's been crawling on that Barbie outside, do you, Phil?
Well, Mum and Dad found a snake on their Barbie, so since then...
Did they turn it on?
Well, I think they should have, in hindsight, actually.
I would have got him off.
Oh, no.
The snake would have been, I better get off now.
I wonder how long it takes a snake to work out that it's hot. Anyway,
I think they'd work it out pretty quick. I would anyway.
Just the right mix of things to inspire and things to make you smile. Rise and shine on Vision.
Do you still do 30 days had September, April, June and November, all the rest have 31?
In my mind all the time.
I have to do it.
Yeah.
I thought that on Friday. I was like, at what point does your brain just know how many days is in each month? Never.
I don't want to know.
You don't. You just have
It's
the
just
song.
one of those things I
but
don't
you
want
have
to
to go
know.
through the whole song
True.
every time.
True.
But, you know,
Isn't
June
it
comes
funny?
up quickly.
Isn't it funny how little jingles work though?
They do, because I had 30 days, had April, June. So there's 30 days, 30th of June. If you have money to give for charity, today's your day for those tax deductions, including Vision.
Yeah, I was going to suggest
Oh,
that.
you were going to suggest
Vision
that.
is a tax-deductible gift. So if you give today, it is tax-deductible. So it will reduce your tax burden a little bit.
It will, and it will be tax deductible tomorrow. But this is if you wanted in this financial
Yeah,
year.
the previous one, yes.
Helen and Harold have done that from Strathalbyn in South Australia, gave online. And I just wanted to say thank you to you, Harold and Helen. They're also ambassadors, which I think is really cool.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're listening along on 88 FM. And they mention here, and I thought this is really interesting, we've been off air for the last 3 months. The transmitter died in Strathalbyn, but they're thankful that during that time they had the phone app. And we're just so blessed, but they made them remember that there are others who were missing out because they didn't have the app or hadn't downloaded it or didn't have access to it. So they're very, very thankful that they have access to Vision. And they have distributed over 400 Vision leaflets and pens, along with those Answer in Genesis Luke Gospels. So thank you, Helen and Harold. It makes me so thankful for everything you're doing for us in Strathalbyn and making sure the Word of God continues going forth.
Well, they're great ambassadors. And look, for everyone listening, if you listen through the app and you know about the app, share it with someone. Because even on Saturday, Phil, I was surfing at the Gold Coast and I met 2 Brazilians in the water and I was chatting to them. And then we came into shore and, I found out they were Christians. They go to church. And I said, have you seen our app? And they'd never seen it, never heard of it. And they both downloaded the app there and then. And I said, this is just a great thing. It's got 24/7 Christian radio, Christian music, podcast.
It's even a Bible.
Exactly, the Bible's on. It is a great resource and it's so easy to share it with someone and it can bring a lot of encouragement to their life as well.
It is. It's wonderful. And look, if you're in Strathalbyn today, it's going to be a bit nippy. So I'm going to put it out there. It's about 5 degrees right now, a top of 12. So that's like puffer jacket weather, maybe a couple of puffer jackets for me.
That's not exactly hot, is it, in the middle of the day?
It's not hot. But Helen and Harold, thank you so much for being such wonderful ambassadors for Vision. And everyone in Strathalbyn, glad your transmitter's back on, I hope.
And Phil, I read out Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 and 2 before, and I left you and everybody else in suspense because I talked about that, blessed is the man who delights in the law of God and meditates in it day and night. This is what happens when people do that. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he or she does shall prosper.
How good is that? There are so many promises in the Bible that relate to that as we're steadfast, that's a very Christian word, but as we are looking at reading the Word of God, keeping it in mind, the word meditate to use, that sort of muttering, learning speaking it out, that actually there's a huge amount of blessing that comes from that because you're feeding your spirit.
Well, you're feeding your spirit, you're feeding your body, you're feeding your mind, your emotions. I believe the Word of God is actually a tonic for every part of the human condition, Phil. It can help every area of our life, including it even says we can even prosper more in what we work at. The work of our hands will be blessed.
It's amazing. And that is why here as a Vision family on Rise and Shine, we have been digging into and reading some of the Bible together. We have done a Bible study in Mark and we've done a Bible study in Acts. We've read all through Acts together. We've got a new book.
I've heard of all-day breakfast on the menu.
But here's a Brekkie show available 24/7.
Thanks for streaming the Rise and Shine Daily Podcast.
All through this year, we've been encouraging everyone to jump into their Bibles. It can be something that's a bit daunting. If you've never opened a Bible before, you can think, it's going to be a bit hard to understand maybe.
Yeah, so we tried to make it a little bit easier for people and also for those of us who've been reading the Bible for a while and love the Bible. We're just giving you another opportunity to think about the Bible as you're driving along right now or doing your thing at home. So we've done Acts, we've done Mark. We put it out there online, Phil, didn't we? Said, what book of the Bible do you want? The people have spoken, Phil. What have the people said?
Well, the people said that, actually, on the post, there were a lot of books that were considered. So there was Votes for Ruth. A great book of the Bible.
Yes.
That's a great story of a wonderful couple of women and God leading and guiding them into prosperity. Great book.
Naomi and Ruth.
Amazing.
What a combo.
Very good. First John was suggested.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
Someone did suggest, because Andy was saying he didn't want to do the Song of Solomon. So, of course, we had someone go, that's the one we should do. Sorry, Andy. But thankfully only one vote for Song of Solomon.
Well, his exact words were just to annoy Andy. It wouldn't have annoyed me. I just would have felt a little bit uncomfortable on breakfast radio.
Fair enough.
Diving deep into the book of the Song of Solomon.
Fair enough.
There's some very graphic imagery
We
there.
all would have. So we're glad that we're not going there. It wasn't voted. But in the end, the book that has been voted to...
Well, hang on. There was another vote for Galatians, Phil. Don't leave out Galatians.
Galatians is a wonderful book
Some
of the
people wanted
Bible.
Galatians as well.
Yeah.
But overwhelmingly, Phil.
It was, drum roll, we don't have one, but just a physical, just imagine drum rolling, Ephesians.
Yes.
Ephesians. Now, because it actually fits chronologically quite well with the book of Acts.
It was the winner. It was the winner.
So if you're wondering, what is this Ephesians all about? We thought today we'll give a general overview of what is the book of Ephesians, why was it written, who wrote it, and then tomorrow we can dive into Ephesians 1. There's only 6 chapters, so it's going to be quick. We'll be through it in no time.
Quite dramatic, really, isn't it? Phil, the book of Ephesians.
Well, it's very exciting, actually. Now, just imagine, at this point, we'd been speaking in Acts about we met Paul. Mm-hmm. So Paul was Saul. God changed his name when he had a dramatic conversion. He'd gone from hating the Christians to actually now being the most, he was like 110%er, 110% against,
maybe
so 150 billion for the Christians, started these early churches. He goes around, he starts the churches, he meets everyone, and then he ends up in prison. He's in chains in Rome. And there's a period of time there where he's waiting trial, waiting to go and see Caesar, and he writes some letters to these churches that he's established, including the church
of Ephesus. Now, I will give us a little history lesson here.
Please.
So Ephesus was a city in modern-day Turkey.
That's right.
And if you go to Turkey on holidays, which I've done, and you don't try and beat the local guys in the resort in ping pong and smash them, I was smashing the Turks in ping pong at the resort.
Oh.
A little bit too well, I think, because I'm convinced, Phil, they poisoned me. I got the worst stomach bug ever, and I couldn't go to Ephesus. We had a day trip.
Oh, you didn't get to go?
Because we were on the coast, and Ephesus is inland. But my place is the ruins of Ephesus. So Ephesus was a city in modern-day Turkey. So when you're reading the Bible and you're reading about the Ephesians and the city of Ephesus, it's in modern-day Turkey. And modern-day Turkey in Bible times was a real hotbed of Christianity. There was a lot of churches in that region. The Galatia is also part of modern-day Turkey as well. So that's the background. That's where Ephesus was.
Well, and it has a couple of really important landmarks it was a really important city of its day. One is it was known for its amphitheatre. Now, this is the amphitheatre that held a riot. In fact, it could hold up to 50,000 spectators. It was the biggest of the known world at that time. You can still see it today. And that's where there was this huge riot when they actually tried to capture Paul's companions and himself. The other thing it's really well known for...
Well, let's stop there, Phil, because Paul also makes a reference and says, I fought wild beasts in Ephesus. So he may well have fought the wild beasts in that amphitheatre. We're not sure.
You can go there today. How cool is that? The other thing...
If you don't get a stomach bug.
If
you don't win ping pong too much against the resort stuff. I'm sure they poison me, Phil. The Aussie, I was taking them on. I was taking them all down, one by one. Line them up, line them up.
Really?
And then they got me with a bit of food poisoning.
I might have to try you at ping pong. I'm pretty good. Ephesus was also known for a great temple.
Yep.
So it was known for the temple of Artemis, which was built about 550 BC, and it was actually the biggest. It was one of the seventh wonders of the ancient world. So this, just imagine. And as a result, lots of the trade in that town or that city was based around this temple, making shrines, making god statues and all of those things.
They made a lot of money out of it.
Yeah. And that was part of the problem, was what was happening in that time, and why Paul was there, was having to combat that.
Yeah. Well, he was smashing
they got angry at him because he was preaching Christ, and you don't need those idols anymore.
He was smashing their culture, yeah.
He certainly was.
And the other reference to Ephesus, which I find interesting, is in the book of Revelation in chapter 2.
Yes.
Jesus spoke to the church at Ephesus. It was the first church he spoke to. So Ephesus is definitely a really important book in the Bible. A lot of references to it in other books of the Bible as well. Jesus addressed the church specifically in the book of Revelation. So I'm really looking forward, Phil, to diving deep the next few days and going through Ephesus, or the book of Ephesians, I should say, chapter by chapter.
Oh, exactly. And if you're wondering where it is, you can have a look in the contents of your Bible, because you could jump in today. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. So that's where Ephesians sits.
There you go.
It's quite early on in the Bible.
I don't know that song.
You don't? I learned it as a kid, Sunday school.
I know the month one, about 30 days has September, April, June and November, but I don't know that one.
Oh, there's a book of the Bible version.
Well, my heathen upbringing is coming out, isn't it? I wasn't taught that as a kid.
I will. Maybe I'll teach it to you. It might take a while. I've been teaching the kids, but it takes a little while to come up with. But there you go. That's the book of Ephesians.
It's going to be awesome.
We'll be diving into it properly tomorrow. If you want to get a head start, you can kick in at any time.
Start reading it right now.
It is. I have to say, I would read it more than any other book of the Bible, Ephesians, because it talks about who you are in Christ, your position in Christ, what God has done for you, what his death and resurrection has done for you.
Yep.
So it's marked up more than any other book that I have.
Cool.
So I'm pretty excited.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, there you go.
I used to read it a lot as a new Christian too. I've gone into other books now as my faves, but it's still an amazing book though. I love it.
It is pretty good. Well, look, there's Ephesians in a snapshot. We'll bring it to you tomorrow. We'll be reading it together. Get ready for it this time tomorrow. Coming up soon, we do have a brand new game. It includes some toast.
Subscribe and listen to the Rise and Shine podcast in the Free Vision app.
It's easy and available everywhere.
My kids now, there's a timetable song. And so I say, what's, 7 5s or whatever. And for some of the timetables, they have to sing the song. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous, because you don't have time to sing the song to get to whatever it is, 8 7s or 56. No, just you should know some things. But
we didn't have a song when I was in school for timetable. We had to learn it the old-fashioned way.
Did you? Wow.
6 1s are 6, 6 2s are 12, 6 3s are 18. Yada
look
yada
at
yada.
you go.
I was a master of the timetables. I loved them. 6 7s 42. 6 8s 48.
I used to like
6 9s
around
54.
the world when it was a competition. Oh, because it was a competition. I quite liked that.
You wanted to win.
I did want to win. That's probably the only reason I learned those timetables, actually.
Yep.
It's interesting. And I can see what the phones are here. I've got Belle on the line. Belle, what are you thinking?
Hey, I just thought about it. Like, I'm one of those 30 days has September. What was that little jingle that you used to learn in Sunday school? Because I didn't go to Sunday school. Yeah. But to remember the books of the Bible.
Oh, yeah. Look, it's a song. There's a few versions, but mine was Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st of Samuel, 2nd of Samuel, 1st, and it keeps going like that. So, yes, that was a little song that we would learn.
Do you know, I would rather have learnt that than 30 days has September.
It is actually, I find myself in church, I still sing the song. And you know why I did it, Belle, is because Dad was my Sunday school teacher and he promised us a puzzle. So you got to come up the front of Sunday school, you could repeat it, and then you got this puzzle. And I remember the day I was pretty much just excited to get up and, have achieved it, to have learnt the whole song. It took a lot. Dad ended up writing it out for me and we learnt it. But I got this puzzle and It must have taken months. Like, it is quite a long song for a kid, but it is really helpful. Maybe we'll have to learn it here on Rise and Shine somehow.
I think it's good. I think it'd be a good idea. Like, it just came into my head and thought, why didn't I get to learn that one?
Oh,
Why
Belle,
didn't I get to learn
we
that?
can still do it. It's not too late. We could learn it.
Well,
Yes, I'll have to learn it.
Belle, I'm with you. I didn't learn it either. I mean, I wish I knew it because I wish I could remember the sequence of all those Old Testament books because sometimes I forget the sequence they're in as well. So it'd be handy to be able to sing that little song in my head sometimes.
Sing the song? Okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll write
yeah.
it down, Belle, and I'll see if we can think of a way of learning it. Maybe we learn a little bit a day or something. We could
that'd
teach
be good
Australia.
Because, some parents, I had the times table on the back of my toilet, but unfortunately my mother had a woman's work has never done, no time to have a little fun, dishes to wash, clothes to mend, meals to cook, there's no end. One of these days, if I'm not treated right, I'll close this kitchen and go on strike.
Oh, well. That's useful too. It's funny the things that our parents that we learn by rote, isn't it? But you're right. I guess because I did learn it so young, it's just been one thing that I've had access to all my life that you kind of take for granted. But
It's a blessing.
Yeah,
it's a blessing.
You know, and being a person that taught RE at school, I remember trying to teach the kids how to do grace is use the Superman song and say,
"Thank you, Lord, for giving us food." Do you know that one, Andy?
I don't know that one either, no.
Oh, we'll do it together, Belle. Or we might have it slightly different, but we'll give it a go. Thank you, Lord, for giving us food. Thank you, Lord, for giving us food. For the food we eat and the friends we meet. Thank you, Lord, for giving us food.
So good.
Well, see, I had a different one, and then thank you, Jesus.
Sunday school songs. They're wonderful.
They are good.
You had to do the muscles, Andy. You got to do the muscle arms.
Oh, yeah.
They were arms,
I could
definitely.
see the little boys all doing that as I was singing that,
They were loving it. They were loving it.
They loved it.
I do love Sunday school songs. That's one of my things I do love because I have so many of them in my head. They come out.
Yeah. Well, it's actually good for kids to learn these songs because when they're adults like you, Phil, you don't forget.
No, it's true. In Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. Maybe we will learn it or think about how we could do that all together as a nation. It's a big job, but it is very, very helpful. If you've got some other songs we should add to the list that we should learn, let us know about it.
Brought to you by the generosity of Vision family members across Australia and around the world.
The Rise and Shine podcast.
Time to play.
Beat the Toaster.
And look, it's a fairly new game still, so...
But it's an exciting game, Phil.
Well, I love a bit of toast in the
I
morning.
like it.
Someone else who's volunteered to play with us is Chrissy. Morning, Chrissy.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Have you had your toast already this morning?
No, it's only 6:15 over here.
Okay, well that's a bit early. What are you partial to on your toast?
Honey and banana.
Ooh,
honey and banana.
Nice.
I've heard good things, but never done it.
Okay, question. Do you put butter on the toast or just the honey and the banana?
I do put butter on the toast.
How good is butter on
I'm
toast?
not a butter person.
It's the best thing in the world, Phil. It's straight from the cow too. It's
It
natural.
sounds like it could be like a power breakfast, that one, actually, to be fair. You've got wheat, honey,
Yep.
banana. What else could
natural
you possibly
sugar
need?
for energy. Yep, love it.
Well, I'm feeling bad that we're going to get you to play prior to having that because your brain's probably not kicked into full gear. But are you up for the challenge?
I'm up for the challenge.
Oh, good on you, Chrissy. Okay, so this is it. We're going to put the toast in the toaster. There'll be a clock playing. You've got 60 seconds, 10 questions. You have to answer every question with the letter today, L for Larry.
And remember, if you don't know the answer, say pass. We will come back to it. Just like on Family Feud.
Yes.
Okay?
Not that we're referencing other people's.
I'm all good.
So your letter is L for Larry or Lima.
And your time starts now.
A song title.
Ooh, song title. Lean on me.
A type of food.
Lemon meringue.
A word that describes someone.
Laughing.
A thing that people are afraid of.
Lunatics.
A household item.
Household item. Oh, pass.
A European city.
London.
A 4-letter word.
Lean.
A kind of dance.
Kind of what, sorry?
Dance. Hard.
Dance.
Something with spots.
Leopard.
A girl's name.
Leanne.
Oh, what did you say? What was the last one?
Leanne.
Leanne. Excellent. Well, look, you did very well.
Almost.
Chrissy, that was excellent. Let's go back to those couple. I thought the funniest one was things that people are afraid of. Lunatics, I think, was your answer.
Are you afraid of lunatics?
I'm not, but people are often scared of people with mental illness.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I just thought that was
It was
funny.
a good answer.
A household item could have been like a lamp or
Lounge.
linen, laundry
Would
basket.
lounge count? I thought of lounge.
Did you go, well,
That's a
good on you,
household item,
Andy.
isn't it?
There you go. We might sub in Andy from now on.
A
And
term
kind of-
for people. I don't know about you. I thought of loser straight away, but you didn't say
Oh,
it.
likeable, lovable. What about a kind of dance? Did you have? Did you?
I had
think-
nothing there.
You were stuck to Latin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
there you go.
limbo,
Latin
or
American
line dancing. We're doing a bit
Oh,
of bush
line
stuff
dance,
today.
yeah.
I'm dancing, of course.
Oh, well, Chrissy, well done for having a go before breakfast. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Well, have
a great day.
Oh, you too. Thanks for playing with us. Love it.
Okay, see you
Thanks.
later.
Bye. And that is how you play Beat the Toaster. We didn't beat the toaster today. The toaster beat us.
They were
But
tough questions,
If
I
you
felt.
want, yes, well, it's not an easy game. Like, it's not designed.
Before your honey and banana on toast.
Well,
like, that's,
maybe
that's
next
tough.
time if you have your toast, then give us the text or a call.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me Vision's breakfast show is now available around the clock?
And on demand,
Incredible!
the Rise and Shine podcast. Rise and Shine.
Now, we did an introduction to the new book of the Bible. If you're just joining us, we're going to study the book of Ephesians.
Made it sound like we made up a new book of the Bible, but
No, it's a new book because we finished up in the book of Mark and Acts,
For our
and
Bible
now
study.
we're going to go to the book of Ephesians.
Yeah.
We made the big announcement, didn't we, Phil?
we're pretty excited. And look, Andy almost got to Ephesus, but he got a bit of food poisoning. He's blaming, I don't know, for some reason, all of Turkey's to blame. For
No,
Andy's
just the
thoughts,
resort
aren't we?
staff who I was whooping in ping pong. I'm sure they put
He
something in
feels
my
it was
salad.
Vindictive there, but as a result, Andy's not been to Ephesus. But we were chatting about what a remarkable city it was. Ephesians was a letter written by the Apostle Paul to this church that he had started in Ephesus, and he had been there for about 3 years on his third missionary journey. He briefly was there on a second, but then he came back and spent about 3 years there. So we have put it out there. Has anyone been to Ephesus?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Jacob from Benora Point, you've been there, I think.
That is correct, yes. We did the 7 churches of Revelations in Turkey.
Really?
Wow.
23, yeah.
Oh, that's really recent.
Let me ask you a question. Did you beat the resort staff in ping pong when you were there, Jacob?
We didn't have ping pong. We actually were with a Christian tour through Olive Tree Travel. And so we had a Christian group, and it was really good.
Oh, that's
we
good. So you didn't
involve in-
suffer a vengeful attack by the resort staff like
Well,
me.
I don't
for
know.
beating
Andy's
them in
got
ping
no
pong.
proof of this.
That's the only reason I didn't get to Ephesus. I was so sick. But what was your biggest takeaway from seeing the ruins of Ephesus?
Oh, just how massive they were. They, of all the ruins that we went to, they were probably the most, I suppose, significant or so bigger area. There were the remains of the Temple of Artemis, and there was even a baptism console there near the temple, actually.
Because it's pretty cool, isn't it? When you actually get a picture for, like, the Temple of Artemis was known as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So we just skim over it in the book of Acts, and it doesn't mean anything when you don't consider, actually, this was a really big deal of the day, wasn't it?
It was, yes, yes. And the interesting thing too was the harbour come all the way up to the ruins of Ephesus, but over the years the basically that valley silted up, and so it's a good 7 kilometres to the ocean.
So they had to keep moving the city of Ephesus, didn't they? Like, they had to actually move it over time because the river system was changing, and that's why today it's just ruins. It's no longer used because it's so far away. It's not a usable port.
Yeah.
It's so far away.
Exactly it. Yeah.
Interesting, hey? So it was obviously a very significant city in the ancient world, and yet Paul started a church, a significant church. I don't know if it's true. Did they mention it to you how big the church was? I've heard some people guesstimate there was up to 20,000 people involved in that church in Ephesus. Yeah, it was a huge church.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, our tour guide didn't allude to that, but it could have been quite a significant church. Just looking at the building that supposedly they were doing their baptisms and stuff like that, because it's actually built-in fonts into the floor. I'll send you a picture later.
Yeah, well, because the other piece that I'm excited, when you go to Acts 20, Acts 19 and 20, that's where we see Paul was in Ephesus. But they dragged one of the guys into the amphitheatre. And at the time, you're kind of imagining like a small amphitheatre.
Yeah.
But actually, it was really significant. 50,000 spectators. What was it like? Did you get to go to the amphitheatre and sort of stand there and think, hey, this was where Paul actually was at one point?
We did go to the amphitheatre, and it is a massive area. It's been well restored, a lot of it. So, it's really big.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Sometimes you can think of these as Bible stories, but actually this was real life, really happening, impacting people. Yeah. Love it, Jacob. Well, you inspired me. I'm going to go not play ping pong.
Well, it sounds like an amazing tour. How long did it take to do all 7 of those churches, those 7 areas?
We did that over several weeks.
Wow. Okay.
What a great trip.
There you go. We need Rise and Shine to go, I think.
The Rise and Shine tour? I'll take my ping pong bat with me and I'll smash them again.
No, we're not putting Andy in charge of any ping pong. No ping pong.
And, of course, Phil, I'm only joking. You know what I was saying off air? The Turkish people are beautiful people. Yes. I just found you'd be walking along a road and they'd say, come and have a cup of tea with me. And you sit down. And just that culture of hospitality is massive all through that part of the world. So to all of our Turkish listeners right now, we love you. And I just got a bit of turkey tummy. It wasn't a food poisoning thing. Probably my fault. Probably from sucking on my fingers or something. I'm sucking on my thumb too much.
Oh, there you go. But we will be digging into Ephesians tomorrow. So if you want to, you can get a head start. The Bible's open for business. You can bring out your own Bible, head online. You can go to our own Vision Christian Media app and you can see it there as well.
I've heard of all-day breakfast on the menu.
But here's a brekkie show available 24/7.
Thanks for streaming the Rise and Shine Daily Podcast.
We've been saying if you want to get your tax deduction in for this financial year, today's the day to do it. And for Vision, you can do that by jumping online to vision.org.au, which is what Leonie from Callista in Western Australia has done. And I just wanted to say thank you, Leonie. That's in the southwest of Perth. But I love the comment Leonie's made here. Vision is always there, like an old friend you can depend on. I always look forward to putting it on when I get home, and if I'm in trouble, something always speaks to me. And we hear that all the time, don't we, Andy? In fact, before the show, Andy and I always pray, and we pray that the right word comes out at the right moment, at the right time, that wherever you are across Australia, that you're blessed as a result of the words and the songs and everything that Vision puts through the airwaves during the day.
Yeah, an encouraging word. You know that proverb, it says that a word spoken aptly is like a golden apple in settings of silver.
Oh,
I love that proverb.
That's gorgeous.
That's
Say
a
that
good
again.
image. A word spoken aptly or at the right time is like a golden apple in settings of silver.
Isn't that beautiful?
Good image.
It
That's
is
a lot of
good
gold
image.
there. If you had a gold apple, that's a lot of gold.
It would be worth a lot, wouldn't it? I mean, it's priceless, really. But look, if you're listening along in Perth, hopefully there's some gold apples for you this morning. Your weather's 14 at the moment. Feels like 10, so it's a bit nippy, but it's going to head to 23 throughout the day. A little bit of a late shower, so you might want to brolly as you head out and about today.
And look, I was in Psalm chapter 1 today, Phil, so I'm just going to finish it up. I'm not going to read the whole end of the chapter, but I'm going to say this. The last verse says in verse 6, "For the Lord knows the way of the righteous." And, I love where the Bible says elsewhere that the Lord delights in the steps of a good man. He delights in his way. God knows our ways. He knows our steps. He's watching us. He's with us. And it's a good thought to have, Phil.
It is, isn't it? God is mindful of you. You think he knows how many hairs are on your head, so he's keeping constant count of that. Like our shower's full of hair, so he's having to recount everyone's heads on a regular basis. But it's just that picture of how mindful God is of you as an individual in your life. It's pretty special.
And sort of like what Pastor Brian said earlier in the day, that that's God's grace, that he just gives us stuff like that. We don't deserve this. We don't deserve this much attention, do we? This much care and concern, but we get it for free from God. And that's what the grace of God is.
God's ability on your behalf.
Rise and Shine on Vision Christian Radio.
That's right. This is the last song for Rise and Shine today. So we'd love you to text us with it. And look, an idea here, Mike's pitching via text. He says, because we've got V180, which is the young sounding channel of Vision.
My favourite one, yes.
So because Andy's young at heart. But if you've got teenagers in the car, we pop that on for them. So that if you go over to vision.org.au, or if you have the app, it's one of the channels. So there's the Vision Mainstay.
Yep.
That's where you are now. We've got Worship, Vision Kids,
Yep.
which I also love, V180. He's saying maybe Vision 180 should be a version Vision 80.
Oh.
Vision 80 for the
80 plus
for
audience.
the older folks around.
Hey, why not?
Or from the
elderly
80s?
Well, we almost launched Vision Irish this year, Phil. We had real momentum behind that push, didn't we?
There was an excitement building around that.
I think a lot of people would be listening to it right now. I mean, it's not off the drawing boards, is it? It's still it's still a potential, isn't it? Vision Irish.
I was pitching pretty hard, and we had it up and running for about 2 hours on April Fool's Day, and then in a dramatic fashion, it was no more. But for those 2 hours, it was pretty great.
Look, as I said, it's not off the table. Phil.
I'm still
it's still a
pitching it.
potential.
It
It's
could
still
happen.
a possibility.
Back tomorrow, though, we'll have AJ Spurd joining us over the line. She's mum, blogger, writer, author, speaker. We do love it when she comes in.
Yep.
I might ask her because she's from a Sunday school background. I wonder if she learned the books of the Bible song.
Let's ask her.
We'll ask her.
I'm thinking she did.
I reckon I'd put money on it, but we'll.
Hasn't she done 20 years in the kids' church at her local church?
So
I mean,
wonder.
she's probably learned every song in that 20
There
years.
probably are a few on offer, but we might, we'll see how we go. But that'll be on tomorrow. Today, though, have a wonderful rest of the day, whatever you're doing. We pray God's blessing upon it, that he keeps you and that his angels surround you with a shield, but favour as well. You're going to have an awesome day, and we'll catch you tomorrow on Rise and Shine.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media.
To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.